Hey everybody, DM Gallibond here. Thanks for joining us on Lore Friday. Today on Lore Friday, we are going to be taking a look at the adventure called The Lost Tomb of Khaem. But before we get started, I'd like to remind you to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video, and click that post notification bell so that you get notified every time new content drops. Alright, so we're continuing our look at the adventures that come from the Out of the Abyss campaign. This is the Lost Tomb of Khaem, which is the last of the side adventures in this particular chapter of the campaign. Now, this adventure is still a Tier 1 adventure that is tuned for Level 3 characters. And the theme of this particular adventure is to explore an ancient tomb to rescue whoever is trapped inside. The setting is once again the vast caverns of the Underdark between the civilized settlements. That's pretty much been a theme of all of this in Chapter 2, is just different things that you find as you go between various different settlements. As we get into the next chapter, you'll see that there are specific areas within the Underdark that include certain settlements, and the story then begins to focus on what happens in each of those areas. The teaser in this particular adventure is that the party receives telepathic pleas from a female voice to come release her from where she's been trapped in the dark for so long. Hello? Is someone there? Oh, please, I need your help. I've been trapped in the dark for so long, so very long. Please, won't you help to free me? That's the message that the PCs receive verbatim as it's written in the adventure. I think most adventurers, they hear that, they go, nope, nope, that's red flag, bad news, we're out of here. We're going nowhere near that. At least most of the adventurers that play at tables that I run, because they would expect me to be throwing something nasty at them with a plea like that. Here's a little summary. The adventurers go to investigate, and they find a tomb from a long lost and forgotten age. The tomb ruins that they encounter are from the Netherese Empire, and that can be determined from anyone with a sufficient history check to recognize the style and the content of artwork and adornments that are in the tomb. Now, throughout this tomb, a beautiful woman is depicted in various different scenes, and she must be somebody important or noble because she's attended by slaves and other servants in almost every scene where she's depicted. Now, there are several different chambers in the complex, and there might be a trick to finding the actual tomb of the title character. But saying too much about that would give away the adventure for anyone that hasn't played it. And if you're a DM that's going to run this, I don't want your players watching this and finding out all of the secrets. So, suffice it to say that because this is a Netherese tomb, there are some traps and some magic involved. Now, there's not many set encounters here, but all of them deal with undead. Surprise, 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 right? I mean, you're in a tomb after all. So what else is there going to be? Now, adventurers can also pick up some nice loot as well, including a named weapon, a necklace of fireballs, and a potion of greater healing, along with golden coins and other art objects that all together are worth several thousand gold pieces to a relatively young party of adventurers. The only connection to the main plot of this campaign is very tenuous, and to me, it feels forced. It feels like this was kind of a cool idea someone had, and they were really pressuring Chris Perkins and say, hey, can you find a way of fitting this into a campaign you're writing? I really want to see it in a campaign. And Chris was like, oh, God, okay, all right. I guess I'll just throw it in here. It just feels very forced and almost a little bit out of place. Now, apparently, this is getting back to the main plot. Apparently, the presence of the demon lords in the Underdark somehow, in some way that's not explained, has disturbed the rest of the occupant of this tomb and changed it from a moldering corpse into a monster that wants to kill the adventurers. Now, even that really cool named weapon doesn't have any link to the plot, but it could be very useful throughout the campaign. There's no doubt about that. The most common enemies that you will find in this are obviously undead. All of the enemies you will find in this little adventure are undead. And the toughest set encounter in here is against a Wraith, which is a CR5 monster. When it comes to special creatures or items, if and when the party find the main tomb in the complex, they will discover that the occupant has a named magic weapon in its possession. Now, this is not just any weapon. This is a sentient sunblade. And a sunblade is the D&D equivalent to Star Wars lightsaber. This named weapon is also a legendary magic item. I tell you that because those kinds of magic items are usually reserved for Tier 4 characters of level 17 and above. And this is being plopped in with treasure for an adventure that's designed for Tier 1 characters that are level 3. And the balance curmudgeon in me just kind of cringes at that. Okay, the weapon is sentient, it's talkative, and it has powers beyond just being able to hurt your enemies. So, to me, it seems overkill to put that in this particular adventure. And it's one of the nicest weapons that your party is liable to find in the entire campaign. Giving this weapon to baby adventurers so close to the beginning of the campaign seems a bit much to me. As a DM, if you're running out of the abyss, you might want to decide whether or not you want to place this weapon here, or whether you want to move it to some later point in the campaign and give, like a regular, like, +1 magic weapon or something like that in its place here. Since this particular weapon is part of the campaign, fine, let it appear somewhere in the campaign, but make them earn it when they're, closer to the point in their adventuring career where they ought to have something with that kind of power. The other magic items, like the Necklace of Fireballs and the Potion of Greater Healing, those are just really a little bit above the level of the party, and with the encounters tuned for the party's level, I don't think that's extravagant, because like that Necklace of Fireballs will come in real handy throughout the rest of this campaign. And having that, being prepared for that, can really help as the adventurers get a little bit further down the road. Speaking about my favorite elements of the adventure, I always love the maps. Tomb Complex here is cool, and I've already repurposed it at least one time for my Planeswalking campaign on Sundays. And the reason is because it just seems like something you might find in that kind of story. Easiest homebrew adaptation for this. The adventure is suitable for any campaign arc, either one that involves the Underdark, or one that doesn't even involve the Underdark, but involves hunting through Netherese ruins. Now, the balance curmudgeon in me, like I've already said, wants to change the encounters here to make them tougher so that characters of a higher level could earn that cool named weapon. I mean, if you're going to take this out of the Abyss campaign, put it in one of your own campaigns, and leave the treasures in place, I would seriously think about ramping up the level of difficulty of the encounters here and making it tuned to characters of a much higher level, so that when they come in and they have to fight this creature, they're not going to be able to just simply get a really cool weapon at a very low level. If you're going to use this adventure with other editions, the Undead in this adventure have been around since the beginning of the game, and the Ancient Netherese Empire was a feature that appeared along with the very first published edition of the Forgotten Realm setting. So you can use this adventure with just about any edition of the game. There's really not much of a limit on how far back you can go with it. Alright, well that's going to do it this evening for our look at the Lost Tomb of Khaem. Once again, I have been DM Gallibond. You've been watching Lore Friday, and next time we're going to take a look at the adventure that starts off Chapter 3, which is called the Darklake, and we're going to look at that setting and some of the random encounters that are built for that place. Alright, once again, if you've watched this far, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video, click the post notification bell so that you get notified every time new content drops. And I really hope you enjoyed the video, and we hope that we will see you back next time here on Lore Friday. Take care, everybody. Good night.